I get to what I'm going to talk about today, I want to just deliver a few words to each of you who is here, personally to each of you. That is, your lives matter. I love you all, neighbors. That's very easy for me to say to you because you've been here for 310 Sundays working for justice. And I hope it makes you feel just a little bit better every time you hear that. I also have some words for those who come along here and squeal their tires and say thank you and other disparaging remarks to us. To them, I have to say, your life matters. I love you, neighbors. Now, it may seem like that's a little bit more difficult to say to those people. But the thing is, it's the truth. It's why we're here. And I would like to point out, before I start my remarks, that while it is very true that the profile of the person who is most likely to be murdered looks like Officer Terrence Caraway, who was murdered in an affluent neighborhood in Florence, South Carolina, looks like George Floyd, the truth is also that the person who is most likely to kill themselves looks like Admiral Scott Sterney, the commanding admiral of the Fifth Fleet and serving in the Persian Gulf, who committed suicide. And what I want to talk about today is a force that's greater than the Supreme Court, greater than the government of the United States, greater than the Army of the United States. I want to talk about the force that's greater than them because the root cause of these men's deaths is ignorance, and the force that's stronger than anything else is the truth. So, let me talk about my prepared remarks. My first one, this is a letter that was published in Voices this week, titled, Say No to Punishment and Violence. Okay, first off, do you think punishment and violence based on blame is justified? Well, Jesus, which is the moral guide of many of us, says no. Judge not that you be not judged. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone. All who take the sword will perish by the sword. But our Declaration of Independence says no too, declaring life and liberty unalienable rights. Yet the USA today has embraced blame-driven punishment and violence like few other countries on earth. Our imprisonment rate is higher than only a handful of countries. We are the world's largest possessor and exporter of weapons by far. And at home, we have the world's highest firearm ownership rate. And what is the impact? The war on drugs fought with punishment and violence has been a spectacular failure. The USA has the world's highest drug death rate despite massive incarcerations. Our weapons spread war and violence around the world, inciting resolute resistance. Our firearm murder rate is worse than 90% of countries, and our overall murder rate is more than 20 times worse than elsewhere. More. And what happens when someone has been led to believe that they are to blame? If they have been told punishment is justified, they turn to self-punishment, suicide. The USA has the world's highest firearm suicide rate among independent countries, and an overall suicide rate worse than 85% of countries. Jesus and the Declaration of Independence are right about punishment and violence. Despite this, many today, often in the guise of moral righteousness, support even more punishment and violence. If this is you or someone you know, stop before you drag us all any further down this fool's path to death and destruction. Instead, follow the path of true moral righteousness. Love your neighbor as yourself. Jesus says yes to that. Now, this, I hope, will be in Voices this coming week, and this is entitled, well, in fact, I won't tell you the title because you'll understand when I read it. So, with wars raging around the world, violence consuming way too many lives at home, and endless demands for more weapons and bloodshed, many now fear the carnage will end only when the last one of us is dead. Is there anything we can do to stop this terrifying march? Well, what is mightier than the mightiest army and more powerful than the most destructive nuclear warhead? The answer is the truth, the indestructible, inextinguishable light. No matter how many bullets are fired, how many bombs are dropped, how many gas lights are lit, how many straw men are torched, or how many of truth's messengers are crucified, the truth always remains the truth. The truth is, violence ends when we put down our weapons. Here is the wonderful true story of a country where that has already happened. Like the USA today, this country was once one of the two most violent countries on earth. Like the USA today, this country suffered horrific levels of violent death as a consequence. Because of the USA, this country disarmed. Today, this country has the world's longest life expectancy with firearm deaths 1,000 times lower than in the USA. Does anybody know what country I'm talking about? I'm talking about Japan. While Japan has embarked on a journey towards peace ever since the end of World War II, the victorious allies, particularly the USA and Russia, have embarked on the greatest arms race in the history of humanity, with deadly results at home and abroad. It's time we brought home the lesson we taught the Japanese. It's time we all speak up, carrying the light of truth, to end violence by disarming our neighbors and ourselves. Thank you.